Hey guys, so in this chapter we're going to be doing transformations of different shapes. So first we're going to start with translation, then we'll get to reflection, then we're going to rotate the object, and then we're going to talk about symmetry and those types of things. So yeah, what a transformation basically is we're taking a shape and then we're transforming it, moving it to be some other direction. So it's going to be when we translate it, think of translation as I'm just picking up this shape and I'm just moving it. Or I'm just simply dragging it and not rotating it anywhere or reflecting it. We'll get to that later. All I'm simply doing is I'm taking a shape and I'm moving it either up, down, left, or right, depending on what my vector is. So in this case, my vector is 2.5. 2 and then 1.5. So grab my ruler over here. And I want you guys just to follow along on your own paper. So you're going to have to make sure if you're at home, print these out. You're going to need a ruler for this unit, and you're just going to follow along with me. So I'm going to do part of it, and then I'm going to ask you guys, using the example I've set, to go ahead and apply what you've learned to follow that example for the next ones. So for this one, 2, and we're going to go with inches. So I'm taking this point here. You can call this A, call this B, call this C. So I'm going to take A, and as best I can, I've got my ruler perfectly horizontal. Think of this as my x coordinate and this as my y coordinate. So x means left and right. If x is positive, that means I move it to the right. So I'm going to move this to the right 2 inches. So now that's the new location for A, so I call that A prime. Do the same thing for C, keep it horizontal as best I can, and mark that at 2. C prime. And then B, do the same thing. Mark that, call that B prime. So that's where I've just translated it to the right 2, but now I need to move it up 1.5. So now I do the same thing, except for I move my ruler vertically. So it looks like this, and I'm going to move it up 1.5. So I go up 1.5 right here. Do the same thing here, up 1.5. Do the same thing here, up 1.5. And just for consistency, make sure you're using the ruler, the inch side of your ruler. So this is my final one. This is A double primed, C double primed, B double prime. And I'm going to go ahead and connect those. And if you miss anything, feel free to pause, rewind the video, do whatever you got to do to make sure you're understanding this. Sometimes it sees, sometimes it takes just a couple times at it to get it right. There you go, there's our first one. Alright, this one says vector 0, 3. So 0, 3. So on this one, how far left and right am I moving if it's 0? Answer would be none. Not moving it at all. Not moving it left or right at all. But the negative 3, so remember this is, treat this like x, treat this like y. Negative 3 for y means down 3. So this one, I'm going to move my paper a little bit so you can see. So this one, let's go ahead and label these. I'm going to call this A, B, C, D. Okay. So on the inch side, move this down 3. I'm going to call it A prime. Move this down 3. Call it B prime. Move this down. Call it D prime. And now? And since I'm not moving, I've already moved it up and down, I'm not moving it left and right because of the 0, so I can go ahead and connect those. And that is now this shape translated 0, -3. I translated it not left and right at all, but down 3. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing for this shape. There we go. So I'm just going to call this, for a circle, I'm not going to mark every single corner there. There is no corner, obviously. So I'm going to call it A, B, C, D. On this one, it says 3, -2. So again, think of this as X, this is Y. This means right 3, that means down 2. So I'm going to take my ruler and move it to the right 3. So I moved it to the right 3. I just took care of X. Now I got to take care of Y. So -2, remember, again, means down 2. So make my ruler as vertical as possible. And that's a double prime. Mark it at 2, B double prime. C double prime. And now I'll go ahead and draw my shape. So I got my triangle. And then my circle. I'm just going to try to get as close as I can here. It's good enough for me. That is this shape translated, vectored, 3, -2. And there's your first page. So that's what it looks like on a plain piece of paper. Now we're going to do the same thing in the coordinate plane. So go ahead and turn the page, and it should look like this. This makes it easier because now I don't need to even use a ruler. So if I'm going to vector this 6, 4, 6, remember, that's X, this is Y. So I'm going to move this 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And move it up 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. This one, so that's B prime. A, do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. A prime. Just to make this nice and neat, I'm going to use my ruler. That's that shape, vectored 6 right, 4 up. Do the same thing here. So 6 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. C prime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. D prime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. E prime. And I move them down 3. 1, 2, 3. And you can do them at the same time like we did earlier. It doesn't matter. D double prime. And so when you do that, you should get this shape. There we go. I just vectored that, translated it, 6, -3. Now, you guys go ahead and try this for the rest of them. Now, you might have been asking, what do we do for x minus 7, y minus 2? Just treat this as -7, -2. So this means left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, down 2. So it goes right here. And k, same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. So this is J prime, K prime. And there we go. Do the same thing for this. Do the same thing for that one. See what you get. Now, for these, we're actually going to use Desmos. So hopefully you guys remember how to graph the line y equals x. And if you don't, remember it's slope-intercept form. So slope is 1, intercept is 0. So it crosses here, and it goes up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So when we graph that, it would look like this. Okay, and then now the line y equals x minus 2, y-intercept is -2, same slope, so it's going to just be a parallel line through that. It looks like that. Okay, now again, if you didn't get that, go here on Desmos, I go y equals x, and the line x minus 2. It automatically recognizes the y. So it looks like that. Now, how do we get from the red line to the blue line? How do we get from the red line to the blue line? Well, we took this line and we translated it down 2. So the vector, we're going to call that, make sure you have this in here. This would be vector. Didn't move left or right, 0, but it moved down, 2, so that's why it's -2. So again, make sure you include that, and go ahead and circle that for me too. And just be in the habit of putting it in top right, so it's easy for me to see. Okay, let's do that again with the next one. So y equals x to the 3rd power. So x to the 3rd power looks like this. I hit this button. Oh, here we go. Hit this button. X to the 3rd looks like that. And then x to the 3rd minus 2. So I go x to the 3rd minus 2. Looks like that. Now, how do I get from the red line to the green line? Notice again, all I did was translate it down 2. So let's go ahead and copy that over and just do your best that you can here. Not asking for perfection here by any means. It's gonna look, gonna look something. Something like that, and then this one crosses here and does the same deal. Should make that a little wider. There we go. There we go. Okay, looks like that. And again, vector is 0, -2 on this one. All right, let's do this one. Let's plug in x squared and x minus 3 squared. X squared. Need parentheses, so parentheses are right here. Nope. Parentheses are right here. So I go x minus 3 squared. Now what do we do in this case? Well, and you can tap on here, which is kind of nice. So that's at 3, 0. This is at 0, 0. I moved it over. It's like I took the red line and I moved it over 3 units to the right. So let's go ahead and graph that real quick. It's going to look something like this. All right, and in this case, again, I moved 3 to the right. So my vector in this case is positive 3, didn't go up and down, so it's 3, 0. And again, don't forget to circle those for me. Okay, you go ahead and do the next ones. You guys know how to do that already. Absolute value on Desmos can be found right here. So that's absolute value of x. Looks like that. Absolute value of x. I'll get rid of that. So yeah, absolute value of x. And there's absolute value of x minus 3 plus 4. So it looks like absolute value of x minus 3 plus 4. Looks like that. So now you have to decide what's your vector going to be. Go ahead and copy that down and then decide what's your vector going to be for that one. How do I translate, how do I go from the green to the purple? And then do the same for the square root. So that looks like this, square root of x. And this is square root of x minus 3 plus 2. So it looks like square root of, square root, right, square root right there, square root of x minus 3. And then to get outside the parentheses, or outside the square root, you have to tap up here. So square root of x minus 3 plus 2. So I go plus 2. Now look at that. And then you have to decide how do I get from the green line to the black line. What do I do to translate it? What's my vector going to be on that one? Go ahead and copy that down and write your vector in those 3 spots. And that is translation. Next video will be all about reflection. Thanks, guys.